patch of land in India is without its own temple. We all know this. The recorded religious history of the subcontinent goes back roughly 4,000 years. What many people don't know is that we've been building temples for only 15 centuries. This means that temples, as we know them, have only existed for about a third of our time here. The Indus Valley civilization boasted of advanced cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa as far back as 3000 BC. These cities had two-story buildings, public baths, drainage systems, and well-maintained roads. What is surprising is that there is no sign of temples or any public structure devoted to religion or spirituality. That's right, no temples. Meanwhile, other contemporary civilizations, like those in Egypt and Mesopotamia, had massive tributes to gods and god-kings in the form of giant temples and pyramids. But not so in Indus Valley. No temples. What archaeologists have found are seals bearing symbols of a spiritual nature. So maybe spirituality was not completely absent from Indus culture. Maybe they just liked roads better than temples. So where were the temples? And what did religion look like before there were temples? One theory goes that in early times, people offered worship to caves, rocks, trees, and even rivers, ponds, and waterfalls. Today, we have natural places of worship at Vaishno Devi, Amarnath, and the Mahakumbh. These are places of worship that exist in nature, not stone structures built by people. Some people say that while Vedic Aryans did have temples, these were not the stone structures we see around us today. These temples may have been mobile and went from one place to another on wheels. The Rath Yatra held in Puri, Odisha, reflects this practice. This is also perhaps the reason why wheels are an integral part of temple architecture in the subcontinent. Remember the well-known wheels on the side of the Sun Temple at Konark? And here's another very interesting theory. Since temples have also been called vimanas or aircraft, some people have speculated that Vedic gods were actually alien beings from other worlds who traveled in spaceships. The temples, according to this theory, are only reminders of the places where their ships once landed. Perhaps the answer to this confusion lies in recognizing that Vedic times were a period of fluidity. The cycle of creation, maintenance, and destruction is hard-coded into Hinduism. Structures are built, used, and demolished on a regular basis. Puja season reminds us of this. During festivals, murtis are made, worshipped, and eventually immersed in water in the end. Vedic Indians did not need stone structures to hold their beliefs together. When the Greeks came to India with Alexander in 326 BC, they brought with them knowledge of architecture, things they had learnt in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Persia. This knowledge changed the face of temple building in India forever. They introduced the idea of the freestanding pillar or the Dhvajastambha, something that is part of temples even today. They also introduced the idea of the curtain, known till date as Yavanika, meaning of Greek origin. Between the 6th and the 16th centuries, temple building became something of an art form in India. Temples grew from being small shrines to large structures. Compounds grew around them, and entire towns mushroomed around these compounds, until eventually we got to where we are now. No patch of land in India is without its own temple. This was a brief history of temples in India. Devdutt Pattanaik, Epified.